Welcome back, everyone, to Saltwater Stories. Get ready to explore a creature that sounds like it's straight out of a myth. It's shimmering, it's ghostly almost, well, angelic.
You must be talking about the sea angel.
Exactly. Forget your garden snails. Today we're swimming into the incredible world of the sea angel.
It really is a fantastic name, isn't it? And honestly, it fits. It looks so ethereal. But yeah, scientifically, they're a type of marine gastropod.
So, related to snails and slugs, the kind we see on land.
That's the family.
Mm-hmm.
But they've taken a very different path. Unlike their cousins hauling shells around on the ground, sea angels live their whole lives floating free.
Out in the open ocean, right? That pelagic zone.
Precisely. Imagine snail deciding, you know what, I'm done with this shell. I'm going to learn to fly. Well, swim in this case.
I like that image. And the angel part, where did that come from?
Well, think about those early explorers, especially up in the really cold Arctic and Antarctic waters.
Mm.
They saw these small, delicate creatures, almost see-through, kind of glowing, and moving with this gentle, fluttering motion. It's not hard to see why they thought of tiny angels, floating in the deep sea.
It's an amazing picture, these beautiful little beings in the cold, dark ocean. But I hear there's a bit of a twist. They're not just angelic.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. Yeah, despite that graceful look, they're actually pretty fierce hunters in their tiny world. They have a particular taste for another floating creature, the sea butterfly.
Okay, so looks can be deceiving. Fierce little angels.
Definitely. So today, we're going to try and unravel some of their mysteries. What exactly is a sea angel? Where does it live? What's its hunting strategy like? How does it move? And maybe most importantly, why does this little creature matter in the big ocean picture?
Sounds fantastic. Let's get into it. So what is the sea angel, biologically speaking, beyond the snail connection?
Okay, so think about that snail to swimmer idea again. To live floating in the water, you need some big changes, right? First, ditch the heavy shell. Become soft-bodied.
Makes sense. Much lighter.
Yep. And instead of one big foot for crawling, you develop these sort of wing-like flaps for swimming. That's basically the sea angel playbook. They're pelagic, meaning open ocean, and they're gastropods, but without the obvious adult shell.
And those wings, they have a proper name, I bet.
They do. They're called parapodia. Parapodia. They're actually modified parts of the snail's foot. Over time, they flattened out, became these fleshy wings that let them sort of fly or glide through the water.
Like tiny underwater wings. So cool. Are they big creatures?
Not at all, actually. Most are pretty small, usually just a few centimeters long.
Tiny.
Yeah, really tiny. And you mentioned see-through. That's spot on. They are incredibly transparent, often with this soft, shimmery quality. Adds to that whole angelic vibe, Imagine seeing that for the first time back in the 1700s in the Arctic.
Mind-blowing for those explorers, I bet. Okay, so classification-wise, where do they fit? Mollusks, gastropods, then what?
Right. So big group. Phylum Mollusca, that's snails, clams, octopuses, all that soft-bodied crowd. Then gastropods, snails, and slugs. And then sea angels belong to the order Gymnosomata.
Gymnosomata, what does that mean?
It's Greek for naked body.
Perfect. No shell, naked body. Got it.
Exactly. It really highlights that key feature, losing the big adult shell. That was a major evolutionary step for them.
Okay, and they're related to pteropods, which includes sea butterflies. How close is that relationship?
Very close. Yeah, pteropod itself means wing foot, also Greek. So that group includes both the shelled sea butterflies and these shellless sea angels.
So the wing foot refers to those parapodia.
Precisely. They share that swimming adaptation. But their lifestyles really diverged. Sea butterflies kept a shell, usually a thin one, and they mostly eat tiny plankton, kind of grazing. Adult sea angels, no shell. And they often hunt the sea butterflies.
Whoa, talk about family drama in the ocean. Sea butterflies are just floating, eating tiny stuff.
Yeah, using these sort of sticky mucus webs to catch food particles drifting by. It's very passive.
And meanwhile, their sea angel cousins are actively hunting them down.
Wow. Well, sea angels are equipped for action. They have these specialized tentacles that can shoot out really fast from their head area.
Like little grappling hooks?
Kind of. They use them to grab onto the sea butterfly. And sea angels are often more torpedo-shaped, streamlined for these quick hunting bursts. Yeah. Very different from the more leisurely sea butterfly.
A tiny, transparent hunting torpedo. Wild. I heard there's still some debate about how exactly to classify them.
Yeah, that's true. It's because they're so specialized. Losing the shell completely, becoming active predators. It's such a big change from their ancestors that some scientists think maybe they deserve their own higher category. The debate is ongoing. Their evolution was pretty radical.
So how do scientists figure this stuff out? What are they looking at?
Oh, everything. They study the morphology, the physical structure, the shape of the parapodia, the soft body, internal organs, especially that unique feeding gear, nervous system, reproductive system. They compare all these details to other mollusks to piece together the evolutionary story.
It's amazing how much information is packed into such a small creature. You mentioned explorers mistook them early on.
Yeah, understandable back then. Before good microscopes and stuff, their see-through jelly-like bodies made people think maybe they were jellyfish or some kind of worm. It took detailed study to confirm they were actually mollusks.
And who's doing this detective work today? Any key places?
Oh yeah, lots of great institutions. Think places like the Smithsonian, the Alfred Wegener Institute in Germany, Scripps Institution of Oceanography. They run expeditions, especially to the poles, and use really cool tech.
Like what?
Underwater robots, advanced DNA sequencing, that sort of thing. The DNA is huge for figuring out relationships.
Right, like cracking their genetic code.
Exactly. It shows they have this mix of really ancient mollusk genes,
Yeah.
but also some newer ones linked to their specific adaptations, like being predators without shells.
You also mentioned bubble snails earlier. How do they compare?
Right, so bubble snails are other cephalospedians. They usually have a partial shell and kind of glide on the seafloor. Comparing them to sea angels, totally shellless, swimming freely in the water column, just highlights how unique the sea angels really are. Big difference.
And we're still finding new kinds.
Absolutely, especially in deeper waters. And DNA analysis sometimes shows that what we thought was one species is actually like a few closely related ones. So the picture is always getting clearer, more detailed.
Okay, so we've got this picture. Small, transparent, winged snail relative, expert hunter. Let's zoom in on how they actually live. What's day-to-day life like for a sea angel?
Well, that soft, jelly-like body is key, as we said. Mostly gelatin, super lightweight, perfect for floating, and crucially, it makes them nearly invisible.
The ultimate camouflage.
Totally. In the wide open ocean, being hard to see is a massive advantage for dodging predators.
And the parapodia, those wings, how fast do they swim with those? Are they zipping around?
Not really zipping. It's more of a slow, rhythmic flutter. Think butterfly wings. But underwater, in slow motion, it's very graceful, very controlled gliding. Not built for speed like a fish, more for stealthy cruising and ambushing.
Okay, so they cruise up to a sea butterfly. How do they actually eat it? Do they have teeth?
They do, but not like ours. They have something called a radula. It's like a ribbon covered in rows of tiny, sharp, backward-pointing teeth.
Whoa.
They use it to rasp away at the soft parts of the sea butterfly, but first they have to catch it. And that's where those super fast feeding arms come in, shooting out to grab the prey.
So zap with the arms, then shred with the radula.
Yeah.
Intense for such a delicate creature. How do they even find the sea butterflies? Do they have good eyesight?
Not complex eyes like ours, but they have sensory organs that are really good at detecting chemicals in the water, so they can basically smell their prey nearby.
Underwater smelling. Cool.
Yeah. And they can also sense light levels and pressure changes, which helps them figure out if they're near the surface or deep down, helps them navigate.
Okay, what about basic stuff like breathing?
They just absorb oxygen directly through their skin from the water.
Yeah.
No lungs, no complex gills needed. Their whole body surface works for respiration.
Breathing through their skin while floating.
Wow.
And how do they stay afloat so easily? Just the jelly body.
That's a big part of it. Being mostly water and low-density jelly makes them naturally buoyant. Plus, their small size and slow movements help them stay suspended without much effort.
And that transparency is just vital, isn't it?
Absolutely essential. It's their number one defense.
Yeah.
Predators swim right by sometimes. It's like they have an invisibility cloak.
So compared to other floaty things out there, what makes the sea angel's lifestyle stand out?
Well, that complete loss of the adult shell is a big one. Many other pelagic mollusks keep some kind of shell. Sea angels went all in on speed, ambush speed and transparency for survival, trading armor for stealth.
It's incredible that we can see all these details now, right? With microscopes and imaging, tiny teeth, muscles.
Exactly. We can see the radula teeth, the muscles firing in the parapodia, the very cells that make them transparent. It shows just how perfectly adapted they are for life in the open sea.
Totally tailored for the pelagic zone. Okay, geography lesson time. Where exactly do these ocean angels hang out? Are they everywhere?
Not quite everywhere. They definitely prefer the colder parts of the ocean. Their main homes are the polar and subpolar waters. Think Arctic Ocean, Southern Ocean around Antarctica. They really thrive in the chill.
Okay, cold water fans. Do they ever show up in warmer spots?
You can find them in cooler areas of the North Atlantic and North Pacific too. But yeah, they generally steer clear of tropical waters. They're built for the cold.
And they're truly out in the open, right? Not coastal.
Definitely true wanderers of the open ocean. Far from shore. It's all blue horizons for them.
And depth-wise, are they skimming the surface or exploring the deep?
They cover a pretty good range, from just below the surface down to maybe 600 meters or so. And interestingly, they move up and down within that range quite a bit.
An underwater elevator. Why do they do that?
It's likely tied to food and safety. The thinking is they often come up towards the surface at night, maybe more plankton, and their prey are up there then, and it's darker, safer from visual predators. Then they head back down deeper during the day.
Ah, that daily commute. And they like it cold, under 10 degrees Celsius stable salt levels. Why so specific?
Well, their bodies are delicate, finely tuned. Big swings in temperature or salinity would be really stressful. Those cold, nutrient-rich, stable polar waters are just what they're adapted for.
Do they stay put, or do they follow the seasons?
Though they definitely follow seasonal cycles, especially near the poles. In summer, when sunlight fuels big plankton blooms near the surface, you'll find more sea angels up there enjoying the feast.
Following the buffet.
Exactly. Then in winter, when surface food is scarcer and it's colder, they often retreat deeper where conditions are more stable.
What about ocean currents? Do they just get swept along?
Currents play a huge role. They can carry sea angels over vast distances, helping them spread out. And currents mix water layers, affecting temperature and nutrients, which influences where the sea angels can live and find food.
We mentioned that daily up and down trip dial vertical migration. That sounds important.
It's massive. It's one of the largest animal migrations on Earth, happening every single day. Billions of creatures, including sea angels, move up at night and down during the day. It's a huge part of ocean life.
Wow. So trying to count them must be impossible.
Extremely difficult, yeah. Their numbers can swing wildly depending on food, especially those sea butterflies and water conditions. They're not like schools of fish you can easily spot and estimate. They're more scattered.
And their location is tied so closely to the sea butterflies, which eat plankton. It's all linked.
Totally interconnected. Plankton is the base. Sea butterflies eat plankton. Sea angels eat sea butterflies. Change one thing, and it affects the others.
Which brings us to climate change. What happens when you warm up their cold water homes?
That's a huge worry. As oceans warm, sea angels might be forced to move poleward or deeper to find that cold water they need. And warming messes with plankton growth too, which disrupts the whole food chain they rely on.
So we might actually see them showing up in new places.
We already are. Scientists are finding them in Arctic areas where they weren't common before, likely because melting ice and warmer water are opening up new territory.
So these little guys can actually tell us a lot about ocean changes, and we're using fancy tech to track this. Robots, satellites.
Yep. Underwater robots explore their deep habitats. Satellites monitor ocean conditions over large areas, and deployed sensors give us real-time data on their environment. It all helps us piece together how they're responding.
Okay, we know where they live. Let's get back to dinner time. Sea butterflies are the main course. How exactly do they catch and eat them? It sounds pretty dramatic.
It really is. Despite looking so fragile, they are serious predators. And yes, sea butterflies are definitely top of the menu.
And it's not a gentle process, I take it.
Far from it. Remember those specialized tentacles we mentioned? They shoot out from the head area incredibly fast.
Like lightning.
Pretty much. And on the ends of these tentacles are tiny but very sharp hooks.
Little grappling hooks. For real.
Yeah. They snag the sea butterfly, maybe its shell, maybe its body. It happens in a flash.
Zap. Gotcha. Okay, the sea butterfly is caught. Then what?
Then the radula comes into play. That ribbon tongue with all the tiny teeth. They use it to scrape and shred the soft parts of the sea butterfly. Efficient, but not pretty for the prey.
Wow. So they're ambush predators mostly, using speed, surprise, and that invisibility cloak?
That's the strategy. Drift silently, blend in, wait for a meal to come close, then strike with those fast arms and hooks. Precision hunting.
Are they only eating sea butterflies, or do they have other options?
They definitely prefer sea butterflies, but they're opportunistic. If sea butterflies are scarce, they'll go after other small, soft-bodied plankton they can manage to catch. They won't starve if they can help it.
Makes sense. How does this hunting style compare to their snail and slug relatives?
It's pretty advanced for a gastropod. Many relatives are passive filter feeders or maybe slow grazers. The act of hunting with specialized capture gear makes sea angels stand out.
And their bodies must be good at getting energy from these meals, right?
Very efficient digestive systems, yes. Adapted to get the most nutrition out of relatively small prey items. important when food isn't always guaranteed in the open ocean.
Does their diet change much, like depending on the season or location?
It likely does. Sea butterfly abundance varies, so sea angels probably adjust what they eat or how much based on availability. That's something researchers are still looking into closely.
And this predation has a big impact on the ecosystem, doesn't it? Controlling sea butterfly numbers.
Huge impact. By keeping sea butterfly populations in check, they help prevent overgrazing of the phytoplankton at the very base of the food web. It's a crucial balancing act.
Little regulators of the plankton world. And they pass energy up the food chain too.
Exactly. They eat the sea butterflies, and then something bigger eats them. They're a vital link, moving energy from the microscopic level up to larger fish and other predators.
Amazing how these tiny predators play such a big role. Okay, hunting covered. What about making more sea angels? How does reproduction work?
Well, it starts super small. A tiny egg just floating freely in the water column, like a little speck drift down the currents.
Does a mini angel hatch out?
Nope. What hatches is a larva, and it looks quite different from the adult. It has to go through a transformation.
Like a caterpillar to a butterfly, or a tadpole to a frog.
Exactly like that. The larva grows and changes shape, developing those little wing-like parapodia. That whole process is called metamorphosis.
Cool. And how do they even make the eggs? Do they need to find a partner?
They do reproduce sexually, but here's a neat trick. They are hermaphrodites.
Meaning?
Each sea angel has both male and female reproductive organs.
Whoa. So any two sea angels can potentially meet.
Pretty much. When they meet and mate, they exchange sperm, and then both individuals can produce fertilized eggs. It's a great strategy for finding a partner when you live spread out in the huge open ocean, right? Doubles your chances.
Super efficient. So after mating, what happens to the eggs?
They release them into the water that's called spawning. They usually do this at certain times of the year when conditions seem best for the larva to survive.
Do they pick a special spot, a sea nursery?
They might try to release eggs where there's maybe more food or fewer predators, but once the eggs are out, they just drift. The parents swim off. No parental care at all.
Wow, tough love. The babies are on their own from day one. How do the adults know when it's time to reproduce?
They likely respond to environmental cues, things like water temperature changing, the amount of daylight increasing or decreasing, maybe even how much food is around. These signals tell them conditions are right.
And those poor little larvae drifting alone, what are their biggest challenges?
Oh, tons of challenges. They're tiny, defenseless snacks for anything slightly bigger. Jellyfish, fish larvae, even other zooplankton. Plus, they have to compete for their own microscopic food. It's tough out there. Many don't make it.
Sounds like a real struggle. Is reproduction happening all year, or is it seasonal?
Usually seasonal, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tied to those favorable environmental conditions, often linked to spring or summer plankton blooms when there's more food available for the larvae.
So their strategy is basically make a lot of eggs and hope some survive.
That's pretty much it. It's a numbers game common for many marine animals that don't provide parental care. Produce enough offspring, and statistically, a few should survive to adulthood.
A very different approach from, say, mammals raising their young.
Very different. But it's a strategy that works in the pelagic environment.
And the number of larvae that survive directly impacts the whole sea angel population size, right?
Absolutely. Good years for larvae mean more adults later on. Bad years mean the population might jip. It's a key factor in their population dynamics.
Fascinating. These tiny eggs carrying the future of these amazing creatures. Okay, we know they move with those parapodia. Can we talk more about their movement and general behavior? How do they get around?
Sure. So it's that slow, rhythmic flapping of the parapodia creates that really graceful, almost ethereal underwater flight we talked about. It's very controlled, very efficient for their size.
More ballet than drag racing.
Definitely ballet. They're not built for speed bursts. It's about smooth gliding, precise positioning, perfect for sneaking up on prey or just navigating their watery world.
Can they steer well? Hover. Stop on a dime.
They're quite nimble, actually. By adjusting the beat and angle of those parapodia, they can hover, turn, move backwards slowly. They have good control for fine-tuned movements, important for hunting and avoiding trouble.
Speaking of trouble, how do they avoid getting eaten? No shell, not super fast.
Their main trick is that amazing transparency, right? Just blending into the water.
Yeah.
But some species might also have a plan B chemical defense.
Chemicals, like they taste bad.
That's the idea. They might produce compounds that are unpleasant or maybe even slightly toxic, deterring a predator that tries to take a bite. A little don't eat me flavor packet.
Built-in yuck factor. And what about their daily routine, that up and down migration?
Yeah, the diel vertical migration is key behavior. Deeper, darker waters during the day helps them avoid predators that hunt by sight near the surface. Then up at night, likely following their food and under the cover of darkness.
So they have an internal clock tuned to the ocean's rhythm.
Seems like it. They also react to changes in temperature, pressure, salinity, adjusting their depth to stay in their comfort zone.
How do they find each other in that vast ocean? For mating, for instance. Any communication?
That's a big question. It's likely they use chemical signals, pheromones, maybe, releasing specific chemicals into the water that others can detect, like sending out a scent message. That's common for many marine invertebrates, but we're still learning the details for sea angels.
Underwater messages. Cool. Are they generally more active at night?
It seems that way for many species. Their activity patterns often peak at night, which makes sense if they're migrating up to feed then, following the sea butterflies that are also more active near the surface at night.
Night owls of the plankton world. And that migration is chasing dinner, too.
Exactly. The sea butterflies move up to eat phytoplankton, and the sea angels follow the sea butterflies. It's all connected.
They sound pretty adaptable, changing behavior based on conditions.
Definitely. We call it behavioral plasticity. They might swim slower in colder water to save energy or change their hunting tactics based on prey density. They adjust to survive.
It's amazing. Such seemingly simple creatures with this whole suite of complex behaviors, movement, defense, sensing, timing.
Absolutely. It's that combination of adaptations, transparency, chemical tricks, careful movement, responding to light and depth that allows them to make a living in the challenging open ocean. Pretty impressive evolution.
Okay, zooming out again, we know what they do, how they live, what's their job in the ocean, their ecological role. Why are they important?
Well, they sit kind of in the middle of the food web, a mid-trophic level predator. They eat things lower down the sea butterflies, and they get eaten by things higher up, like fish, maybe some jellyfish.
So they're a key link, passing energy up the chain.
Exactly. They take the energy from the plankton via the sea butterflies and make it available to larger animals. They're an important conduit for energy flow.
And we mentioned they control sea butterfly populations. That stops the phytoplankton from getting wiped out.
Precisely. They act as natural regulators. Without sea angels keeping sea butterfly numbers in check, the base of the food web could be seriously disrupted. They help maintain that balance.
And they're part of the whole plankton soup out there, interacting with everything else.
Yep. Competing with some organisms for food, perhaps, being prey for others, interacting with larvae of bigger animals. It's a complex neighborhood.
You mentioned nutrient cycling, too. How do they help with that?
Well, when they eat, they process nutrients. Then, through their waste, or when they eventually die and decompose, those nutrients are released back into the water. Phytoplankton and other microbes can then use those recycled nutrients to grow, so they help keep essential elements moving through the ecosystem.
Little recyclers, too, connecting different parts of the food web.
That's a good way to put it. They bridge trophic levels, helping nutrients and energy move upwards.
Could they compete with other animals for food sometimes?
Potentially, yeah. If other animals also rely heavily on sea butterflies in the same area, there could be competition, especially if food is limited.
And if sea angel numbers drop, does that affect their predators?
It certainly could. If fish or jellyfish rely on sea angels as a significant food source, a decline in sea angels could mean less food for them, impacting their populations too.
You also said they can be indicators of ocean health, like a warning system.
Because they're quite sensitive to changes in temperature, acidity, pollution. Sudden changes in sea angel populations or where they're found can signal that something's wrong with the environment. Scientists can monitor them as sort of bioindicators.
A canary in the ocean coal mine. Does their role change much depending on where they are, Arctic versus Atlantic, say?
It can, yeah. In the Arctic, during big plankton blooms, they might become a really important food source for young fish, or even seabirds at certain times. Their exact impact depends on the local food web structure and conditions.
So an Arctic sea angel might have a slightly different job description than a Pacific one.
Kind of, yeah. The basic role is similar, but the specifics of who they eat, who eats them, and their overall impact can vary regionally. Research shows they can be super important in controlling sea butterflies in some areas.
It's just fascinating how interconnected everything is. These tiny floaters have a big influence.
It really highlights that every piece matters in the ocean ecosystem, no matter how small it seems.
Okay, so they're important, but they're also delicate. Who eats sea angels? And how do they survive being, well, soft and slow?
Good question. They definitely have predators. We know certain larger fish, like salmon and cod, will eat them. Some marine invertebrates, maybe some types of crustaceans, might prey on them too.
And yeah, no shell, no super speed. What's their defense plan?
It's multi-pronged. We talked about the potential chemical defense, tasting bad. That's one layer.
Instructor, got it.
Then there's the superstar defense. Camouflage, being nearly invisible, is huge.
The invisibility cloak.
Exactly. And behavioral defenses too. That vertical migration, hiding deep during the day. And if they sense danger nearby, they can just stop moving, become totally still, making them even harder to spot.
So chemistry, camouflage, and playing statue. Clever. Are they actually poisonous?
Not generally considered poisonous like a pufferfish or venomous like a jellyfish sting, but those chemical deterrents in some species can be pretty effective at making a predator spit them out and look elsewhere.
It sounds like a constant back and forth. Predators getting better at finding them, sea angels getting better at hiding.
That's evolution in action, an evolutionary arms race, always adapting to survive.
Have scientists seen them get attacked? What do they do?
Observations are tricky, but yes. Reactions often involve slowing down even more, or slowly sinking deeper, trying to just disappear from view using that transparency.
So very different defenses than jellyfish with stingers or squid using ink and speed.
Very different. Sea angels rely on subtlety, stealth, and maybe tasting bad. It's a unique survival package, perfectly suited for their way of life.
It really shows how evolution finds all sorts of amazing solutions to the problem of survival.
Absolutely. That combination of transparency, chemicals, slow movement, and migration is what lets them persist in an ocean full of predators. It's quite remarkable.
It really is. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How did we even find out about these creatures? What's the story of their discovery and study?
Well, the scientific story starts back in the early 1800s. That's when marine expeditions really started venturing further out and collecting specimens from the open ocean.
So, about 200 years ago. And what was the initial reaction?
Pure fascination. Their appearance was so unusual, so ethereal. They didn't look like typical snails. Early naturalists were really intrigued by these transparent winged swimmers.
And early studies focused on just figuring out the basics, what they looked like, how they moved.
Exactly. Basic anatomy describing the parapodia, the soft body, trying to understand their unique way of swimming, and figuring out they were carnivores. Eating other plankton was a big step too.
How did they study them back then? Just nets?
Mostly nets from ships, yeah. Which you can imagine wasn't ideal for such delicate creatures. Compare that to today. Wow. We have specialized underwater cameras, ROVs, remotely operated vehicles.
Robots.
Yeah, robots exploring the deep. We have remote sensing, even deep sea submersibles sometimes. We can observe them much more naturally now. Plus lab simulations help too.
So we've gone from catching them, maybe damaged, to watching them live underwater. The imaging must be incredible now.
Oh, phenomenal. High-resolution video, microscopes. We can see tiny details of how they move, feed, interact. Things early scientists couldn't even dream of seeing.
And genetics. That must have changed everything.
Completely. Sequencing their DNA helps us map their evolutionary tree, see how they relate to other mollusks, understand their adaptations at a molecular level. It's like reading their instruction manual.
It sounds like it takes a whole team now. Biologists, oceanographers, engineers.
Definitely more interdisciplinary. To understand how sea angels fit into their environment, how climate change affects them, you need experts looking at the biology, the water chemistry, the physics of the ocean, the technology. It all comes together.
Have there been key breakthroughs, moments where our understanding really jumped forward?
Sure. Specific studies revealing the mechanics of their flight, the details of how they capture prey with those fast arms, identifying their main food sources, understanding their role in polar ecosystems. Each piece adds to the puzzle.
But it's still tough to study them, right? Being so fragile and living way out there.
Oh yeah, huge challenges remain. Just collecting them without harm is hard. Observing natural behavior in the deep, cold ocean is difficult and expensive. They don't exactly thrive in a typical aquarium.
Yet the research continues all over the world.
Absolutely. From the Arctic to the Antarctic, researchers are using non-invasive methods, advanced sensors, trying to understand how different conditions affect them.
And the findings can differ depending on the ocean region.
They often do. We see variations in behavior, maybe diet, their specific role in the local food web. It shows how adaptable they are, but also how complex their ecology is.
So studying sea angels isn't just about them. It helps us understand the whole ocean system better.
Definitely. They teach us about food webs, life in the open ocean, adaptation, transparency as a survival strategy, and they're becoming really important for understanding climate change impacts. They've really broadened our view of marine life.
It's been quite a journey of discovery. But unfortunately, that journey now includes worrying about their future. What are the big threats facing sea angels today?
Yeah, sadly, they are vulnerable. Like so many marine creatures, they're facing increasing pressure from human activities and environmental changes. We don't have perfect population numbers globally, but the threats to their habitats are clear.
What kinds of threats are we talking about?
Well, their reliance on cold water makes rising ocean temperatures a huge issue. Pollution is another. Plastics, chemical contaminants getting into the open ocean where they live, and ocean acidification is a big one.
Right, we talked about acidification affecting their prey, the sea butterflies with shells. Does it harm the sea angels directly too, even without shells?
It likely can, yes.
Huh.
Even without a shell to dissolve, changing ocean chemistry can mess with their internal physiology, maybe their metabolism, growth, reproduction. And the impact on their food source is definitely a major indirect threat. A hungry sea angel is not a happy sea angel.
And climate change is driving that warming and acidification, plus changing currents. It's all connected.
Exactly. Warming shrinks their habitat. Changing currents might move them away from food sources or change nutrient patterns. It puts a lot of stress on them.
What about fishing? Do they get caught accidentally?
Bycatch is a potential issue, though maybe less documented for them than for, say, sea turtles. But overfishing in general can throw the whole ecosystem out of whack, affecting their food or their predators, which has knock-on effects.
Any other sneaky threats? Invasive species, maybe?
That's a possibility. If new species move into their areas due to changing conditions, they could face new competitors or predators. It's something researchers are keeping an eye on.
It's a tough outlook. Are people trying to help them? Any conservation efforts?
Well, there aren't many programs focused only on sea angels because they're hard to target directly. But broader efforts absolutely help them. Things like reducing pollution, fighting climate change by cutting emissions, managing fisheries more sustainably.
So helping the ocean helps the sea angels.
Pretty much. Marine protected areas, or MPAs, are also important. Setting aside large areas of ocean where human activity is limited can create safe havens for them and the whole ecosystem they depend on.
Do things like international climate agreements help?
They're crucial. Policies that limit greenhouse gases, regulate pollution, control fishing, these are essential tools. And the more research we do, understanding their needs and vulnerabilities, the better we can tailor conservation strategies.
Do MPAs really work for creatures that drift around so much?
If they're large enough and well managed, yes. They can protect critical feeding or breeding grounds, reduce overall stress in a large area, and help maintain healthier ecosystems that are more resilient.
It really comes down to tackling those big global issues then.
It does. Reducing our carbon footprint, protecting ocean habitats, managing resources wisely, that's the path to ensuring a future for sea angels and countless other amazing marine species.
It's sobering. Let's focus specifically on climate change for a moment. How is the warming itself hurting them?
Directly, it shrinks their preferred cold water zones. They might have to go deeper or further north or south, which costs energy, and might put them in places with less food or different predators. It's like their comfort zone is shrinking.
And acidification, besides hurting their food, could mess with their own bodies.
Yes, the changing chemistry could interfere with basic physiological processes, how they grow, reproduce, maybe even how their nervous system functions. We're still learning the full extent of these direct impacts.
Are their migration patterns getting messed up, that daily up and down trip?
It's likely. Climate change can alter the timing of plankton blooms or the depth where predators hang out. If the sea angel's migration timing gets out of sync with their food or their predators, it can cause major problems for survival and feeding.
And the plankton base they rely on is changing too.
Big time. Warming affects which types of plankton thrive, where they bloom, and when. This instability at the base of the food web ripples all the way up to the sea angels. Food might become less predictable, less available.
Can they adapt? Change their behavior quickly enough?
They do show some flexibility. But the worry is that climate change is happening too fast. Evolution takes time. Whether their natural adaptability can keep pace with the rapid environmental shifts we're causing is a really big, concerning question.
And changing ocean currents could just sweep them off to bad neighborhoods.
Exactly. Currents are like ocean highways. If those highways change direction or speed, it can transport them to areas that are unsuitable. Too warm, not enough food, too many predators. It also affects nutrient distribution, which underpins the whole system.
It's like they're getting hit from all sides by these climate impacts.
It's often multiple stressors acting together, yeah. Warming, acidification, food web changes. the combined effect can be much worse than any single factor alone. We're seeing shifts in distribution, and researchers are concerned about population fluctuations.
Are scientists using models to try and see what might happen next?
Yes, climate models combined with biological data help predict how their habitats might shift and how populations might respond. Studies in places like Alaska and the Arctic are already showing real-world examples of these changes happening now.
It really drives home how connected everything is and how vulnerable these specialized creatures are.
It does. And sea angels are representative of many other pelagic species facing similar challenges. What happens to them is often indicative of broader changes impacting ocean biodiversity and health.
Okay, it's a worrying picture, but it's good that science is advancing. What about the cool new tech helping us study them despite the challenges?
The technology is getting really impressive. We mentioned ROVs and underwater drones. They're becoming more capable, smaller, able to stay down longer, getting us amazing close-up views in the deep ocean without disturbing things too much.
Like having little robot spies down there? What else?
Advanced sensors are key. They can measure water quality, temperature, pressure, currents with incredible precision, giving us a detailed picture of the sea angel's environment. High-definition cameras, some even capturing 3D video, give us unprecedented views of their behavior.
And genetics, you mentioned eDNA.
Yeah, environmental DNA is super exciting. Just analyzing water samples for traces of sea angel DNA tells us if they're present in an area, even if we don't physically see them. It's a powerful, non-invasive survey tool. Plus, full genetic sequencing helps untangle species relationships and population structures.
So we can find them without even catching them. What about listening?
Acoustic sensors. Trying to record any sounds they might make, perhaps for communication or related to feeding. It's still exploratory, but another potential window into their world. Plus, using AI to analyze all the video footage and sensor data helps us spot patterns we might miss.
So robots, DNA forensics, super cameras, listening devices, it's like a high-tech investigation.
It really is. And it often involves collaboration biologists working with engineers, computer scientists, oceanographers to develop and deploy these cutting-edge tools.
That's encouraging. But even with all this tech, there must still be big mysteries left, right? What don't we know about sea angels?
Oh, plenty. We still have big gaps in understanding their basic internal workings, the fine details of reproduction, how they regulate temperature or other internal states, the full map of their nervous system.
So the inside story is still partly hidden. What about their life out in the wild?
Lots of unknowns there, too. How exactly do they find mates in the vast ocean? How often do they really need to eat? What are all the subtle ways they interact with other plankton? Observing these things directly over long periods is still incredibly difficult because they're fragile and live so far from us.
And trying to study them can sometimes change their behavior, right?
Exactly. That's why non-invasive techniques are so important. We need to understand their natural lives, not just how they react to being captured or put in a tank.
What about their place in the food web? Still questions there.
For sure. We know they eat sea butterflies, but what else? And who really relies on eating them? Are they competing strongly with other species? What happens if their numbers change dramatically? We need more data to fill in those ecological details.
And the biggest question now seems to be, how will they cope with the future ocean?
That's the elephant in the room, isn't it? How will rapid warming, acidification, and habitat shifts truly affect their ability to survive and reproduce long-term? What are their ultimate limits for adaptation?
We need to know how climate change affects their whole life cycle.
Precisely. Reproduction timing, larval survival, growth rates, lifespan, feeding success, vulnerability to predators. How are all these critical stages being impacted?
But the new tech gives us hope for finding answers.
Definitely. Robots that can follow them, sensors that monitor their environment constantly, genetic tools, AI for analysis. These give us the best chance we've ever had to tackle these difficult questions.
Any recent surprises from the field? Things that made scientists go, huh?
Yeah. Some studies have hinted at possible group behaviors, which was unexpected for seemingly solitary drifters. And finding them in unexpected places suggests they might be more widespread or adaptable than we thought in some ways. Always more to learn.
So what are the really big questions scientists are asking right now?
Things like, are there still undiscovered sea angel species out there? Could some be bioluminescent, produce their own light? What chemical signals are they using? What's their exact role in cycling carbon and other nutrients in the ocean?
Wow. Answering those could really change our view of ocean ecosystems.
Absolutely. They might seem small and simple, but understanding sea angels fully could unlock key insights into how the pelagic realm works and how we can better protect it. They hold more secrets than we know.
The sea angel. It really is an extraordinary creature, so delicate, so beautiful, almost otherworldly.
It truly captures the imagination, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A little piece of magic floating in the deep sea.
And its whole body, the transparency, those flapping parapodia.
Yeah.
It's just perfectly designed for that open ocean life.
A fantastic example of evolution finding elegant solutions for survival in a challenging environment.
But then there's that twist, the graceful hunter, playing such a key role controlling sea butterfly population.
Right. That contrast makes them even more fascinating. Beautiful killers, in a way.
And living out there, they face so many challenges now, especially with our changing climate.
Their sensitivity makes them really important indicators, like we said. They reflect the health of the waters they live in.
It's amazing, too, how they've captured our imagination, showing up in art and stories, even though most people will never see one live.
Their unique beauty just resonates, I think. Connects us to the mystery of the ocean.
Which makes protecting them and their ocean home feel even more important. It's about preserving that balance.
Every species contributes. Losing even these small, seemingly obscure creatures diminishes the whole system.
And it's exciting that science is still uncovering their secrets. It feels like their story is far from over.
Definitely. The more we look, the more complex and wonderful the ocean reveals itself to be.
Maybe some of our listeners today feeling inspired by the sea angel. Maybe you'll be the ones making the next big discoveries.
That would be fantastic. We need passionate, curious people to continue exploring and protecting our oceans.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all this incredible information about sea angels today. It's been truly enlightening.
My pleasure. They're amazing animals to talk about.
And a big thank you to all of you listening to Saltwater Stories. Your curiosity about the ocean is what keeps us going. Remember, everything we do to care for our planet helps protect wonders like the sea angel. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep dreaming of the deep blue.
Hey everyone, do you have an idea for the show or how we can make it better? We would love to hear from you. Email us your thoughts and suggestions. We read everything you send our way. You can find our contact info in the show notes. One last thing, if you're enjoying this show, please leave us a review. It would help others find us, and it means a lot to our team.